Dr. Abdullah Najjar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Almighty God be upon each and every one of you. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu ala rasulillah. We start in the name of God and ask Him to send His peace and blessings upon the final messenger, Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Muslims all over the world, over 1 billion, almost 2 billion, if not more, believe that the Quran is a miracle, that it is from the Creator. But that is a huge statement. That's a bold claim. Think about it. What if you were from the 3/4 of the world that were born not Muslim? There's a book, God is the author. So we're going to discuss that today, inshallah. So a good place to start would be to ask, what is a miracle? Anybody courageous enough to go first? What is a miracle? I can answer, but interactive is always more exciting. Bismillah, what is a miracle?
Something unnatural.
Something unnatural. I like that's good. There's the laws of, go ahead, Bismillah. Something not man-made is a miracle. Okay. But an ocean is not man-made, it's not a miracle. I'm just pushing back a little bit. Bismillah. It's okay. Something that only God can do? Okay. Makes sense. Something you see and you're like, oh, no person could have done that, only God. That's good.
Something that has really
Small
small chances of happening.
chances of happening? I mean, me making $1 billion in my lifetime, there's only 3,000 or less billionaires in the world. If I make $1 billion, doesn't necessarily mean a miracle. These are all good answers, inshallah. Something that breaks the laws of science, something that goes against the laws of nature, something unnatural, I think that was good. So we're claiming that the Quran is, and the Quran claims that it is, and the Prophet ﷺ claimed that Allah is saying that it is Allah's words. So what is a miracle? Musa alayhi salam, what was his famous miracle? Muslims know it, Christians know it. People that are Jewish know it, people of other religions and other cultures around the world know it. Famous. Moses is one of the most famous people in history. His story is very well known across cultures. Moses did what? A number of miracles, but what's the most famous? Splitting the Red Sea. Okay, I was thinking of another one that was also famous. What else did he do? With his staff, he did what? Yeah. He threw it down and turned it into a snake. A real life serpent, a real life snake. Because the others, it was a battle, right? The magicians had sticks and ropes that, maybe optical illusion, maybe science, maybe smokes and mirrors. I don't know exactly. Not really the point. They looked to people. Look to people that it turned into snakes. But when his turned into an actual real life snake, it gobbled them all up. It came clear to everyone watching. It broke the trance. It broke the optical illusion. It was very clear that one is true and one is false. Because one is from Allah, one is unnatural, one cannot really be done. Why? Because, let's analyze this a little bit before we get to the Quran. What is in a snake is not in a snake. If one has carbon and hydrogen and so on, one of them has cells. It's not the same. Yes? What's in the snake cannot be found in the stick. And there's no natural causal link between the two. Are you guys following? Stick, snake, you can't get, no matter what you do, no natural phenomenon or process can take a stick and turn it into a snake. Agreed? What's in there is not in there. Makes sense? And he threw it down. That doesn't really do much, yeah? So let's carry that analogy. Isa alayhi salam. Okay, so Moses is more famous. His stick, it's a simpler analysis. But Isa alayhi salam, a lot of people don't know this, but at his time there were doctors that were actually human beings, doctors, starting to actually cure different diseases and so on. And people were very impressed with the science. If you're ignorant, it's like a miracle, or it's like magic. You're able to actually cure diseases and so on. But what did Isa alayhi salam do with Allah's permission? That no doctor can do. The doctor can't what?
Revive the dead.
Bring back the dead. And he also did what else? He cured the deaf, the dumb, and the blind, and the lepers, etc. So doctors were here, like throughout human history, they're here. Doctors at that time in that civilization were like, and he was like, it's not even a level or two above. It's again what they can't possibly do. No natural explanation. You put your hand on someone's eyes and they can see what? It's a miracle. Or you can say it's like magic. It's perspective. Okay, let's carry that. Are you guys following? Now Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what did he do? Who can tell me? Of course, with Allah's permission. What did he do? Split the moon and many other things. We're talking about the Quran though. It's primary and biggest miracle. How does the stick turn into a snake and Isa alayhi salam curing the deaf, the dumb, the blind with Allah's permission? How does it relate to the Quran? So yeah, I'm encouraging you guys to think, challenging us to think. Bismillah.
Beyond poetry, it's beyond any literature.
He gets it. He didn't even take a second to think about it, mashallah. Smart guy. That's it. The Quran took the same Arabic letters. It didn't create a new language. It is Quranic Arabic. It's a new language in a sense. But it took the Arabic language, the same letters. There's rules, grammar, structure, all that, and produced what you cannot produce in the Arabic language. Similar to the snake. Okay, Okay, we'll explain it in different ways as well, inshallah. Because we want to focus as the first part of the talk. We're talking about the language of the Quran as a miracle. And also the Quran is a miracle in many other ways. Scientific is like the most famous. We're not going to talk about it much today because it's famous, you can Google it. But the language and the impact of the Quran, and that's the second part. We'll talk about the impact it had across centuries, and it'll tie to justice, and it'll tie to Gaza, all of that. But the language, you see the Arabs, you have to understand context. The Arabs of the time didn't have magicians that were like, the Pharaoh and the magicians and that type of hierarchy. That didn't exist in Arabia. Nor did they have doctors the way that Isa Islam's time did. In fact, they didn't have no science and no technology, no real infrastructure. They didn't have civilization as we know it. They didn't have universities or libraries, or you get the point, right? Arabs in the desert, it's like the Wild West, except it's a desert, it's a jungle, but it's a desert. There's no law and no governance, there's no unified authority, there's no like real government and so on. So basically they had pretty much nothing. They were known for to be courageous, because they're literally running around killing each other. I mean, they're warriors in that sense. And they're known to be generous, because if someone comes through your city from another city, you don't feed them or give them water, they're gonna die, they're not gonna make it to the next city. That's where Arab generosity comes from. Nothing to be proud of, but also like, where it comes from. Context is important. But they had the courage and generosity. No science and no technology, etc. Very immoral, which is why they needed a prophet. But they did have something that they were very proud of, that is exceptional across cultures and civilizations. They had the spoken word. They were incredible with their words. He said poetry, right? You said poetry? They had poetry. I'll give you an example. Somebody could look at the sun setting at that time, not today. Arabs at that time, it's very different. They look at the sun setting and they can recite out lines, like hundreds of lines of poetry about the sun and how beautiful it is. Someone next to them could hear that and then repeat it. We can't do that today. We don't have that kind of memory or that kind of command of language, right? But that's what they had and they were proud of it. And those who are exceptionally good at it, if you're in a society where poetry is really impressive and valued, then those who are exceptional at it, there's also going to be people who are better than others. Those who are exceptional at it were famous. They were the celebrities. They were the influencers. They had the blue check mark. Those were poets at that time. And it's powerful. It's not just poetry sounds like, they're just singing. No, it's a big deal. Because you decide what happened during that battle and who's courageous and who wasn't. You decide which tribe is better and what. And, right? So the news and the information spread and knowledge, and there's no Google, there's no Wikipedia, there's no internet. Makes sense? There's no Instagram or Facebook or Rumble or Twitter or Getter or TikTok or... It's huge. So you being able to really put your words together and be able to recite it in a way and it's memorable and it rhymes and so on, means people are more likely to remember it and share it. So war and peace and then if you want to be a leader in a society, well, are they speaking good about you or speaking bad about you? Where's your power going to come from? Again, no unified government, no actual structure, no laws in Arabia, and no science, no technology, no university. So the words and the poetry is a big deal. It's everything for them. Make sense? When someone's grown up as a 5-year-old, 10, 15, and then they're grown up and they actually become an exceptional poet, they celebrate. There's someone's a poet rises amongst us. That's something they celebrate, the Arabs. And those who are good, they get paid a lot of money. They're used by the leaders. Okay, just give me some context. In that context, the Prophet does what? He says a few words, right? Think of the shortest surahs that came up in Mecca. Some of them, 20 words, 30 words, 40 words. A few lines, a paragraph or so, right? Think of Surah Al-Ikhlas. Think of Inna A'tainaka al-Kawthar. It's like what? Someone could count it for me, like 22 words. And they're all like, it's an entire revolution from their point of view. Why? You gotta understand context. I'll give you an analogy that's easier to understand. Because I don't know if any of you guys are in that culture. I know Boston University probably has like some place where, in some events about like spoken word. I did a little bit of that at U of H. But for the most part, I think the best analogy today is one of the top, if not the most impactful cultures on the planet today, which is hip hop. We're gonna use an analogy using hip hop. The Brandeis people have already heard this. And I did not come up with it, but I've been sharing it everywhere since I've heard it, and I think it's powerful. Imagine there is a stage, and right in the center there's an open mic, and there's an audience of people, thousands, hundreds, there's a lot of people. And then over here on the side there's like a DJ, whatever, there's like a beat, there's a microphone, it's an open stage, there's an audience, they're all there, they want to hear the best that people have to, they want to see rap battles, they want to see good freestyling, they want to see all that, they're excited. And on the side there are judges. This table, they each have their cards, like 1 through 10, they can put up. You guys following? But who are these judges? The best to have ever picked up the mic. The best rappers, the best MCs ever. Throw out some of your favorite rappers. Let's go. Favorite rappers, present or past? Throw out some of your favorite rappers. Let's go. Okay.
Kendrick.
I missed the old Kanye. They're making moves, Kanye. They're fresh off the building. I love you all like Kanye loves Kanye. Go ahead. Kanye, huh? Kendrick Lamar. Who else? Throw out your favorite past or present. Past or present. Yeah. Past or I was gonna say future. Future. Past, present, or future rappers. Go ahead. Favorite artists. Favorite.
J. Cole.
More. Why are you guys so slow? Were you guys so nervous? What else? Drake. I don't like Drake. What did Drake say about Palestine? Nothing good, huh? Now we're talking. Tupac is definitely sitting on that. It's the best of all times. Tupac's got to be there. So we got Tupac, you got like 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 people. Let's say 10 people. How many fill up the spots, guys?
Jay-Z,
Jay-Z's sitting there, and then Tupac is sitting there. Who else? Rakim is sitting there.
J. Cole,
Eminem, is that fair? Eminem? One of the best of all time? I think so. Lyrics? With words? We're talking about poetry and words. I think probably maybe number one of all time. But Rakim is there, Eminem's there, Tupac, you guys get it. Biggie. All right, let's say 10 of them are there. The best of the best. Okay. It's open mic. So he goes up and he says something, and then maybe 3s, maybe 7s, maybe 10s. Some people in the audience like it, others like, some are booing, hopefully not for him, but some people are booing, some people. But it's cool, and the next person comes up, it's a couple minutes each, so things keep moving, People, some of them are really memorable bars that people will remember, some of it kind of just comes and goes, but it's a culture, right? They're all there, it's hip-hop, they understand it. The people in the audience, most of them, maybe a few of them can go up to the mic, but most of them can't, but they appreciate it, they understand it. You guys feel it? It's an analogy, we're not talking about hip-hop. You guys get it? So Arabia at that time. And throughout human history, but especially specifically that time, the Quran wasn't just for them, but you have to understand the context in which it was revealed to understand the miracle of the Quran, linguistically. Which is the primary miracle of the Quran, because the Quran claims to be a linguistic miracle. It doesn't claim to be a scientific miracle, although it is a scientific miracle. So people come up, they get ratings. One person goes up, says a few lines, 3, 4, 5 lines. 2 of them rhymes with 2, one rhymes with 3, 2 rhymes with 4, a couple lines. I don't know much about poetry or rap, okay? Goes up and says a few lines, the beat is still going, but everyone in the audience stops. Not booing or jeering, it's like stops. They're thinking. And then, the microphone or the camera, whoever goes to the judges, it's like, what are your ratings? And none of them carries up a number, and they're kind of ask him first, and then, what do you think? They're talking, and then the audience was like, the judges had a rating for everybody, just rate them. And then they're also talking amongst each other, some of them like, I've never heard anything like that before, that was pretty good. And someone else was like, well, what he's saying is, I don't agree with what, and then eventually it's like you're forced to give a number, and then they were like, I don't know, Eminem, he speaks up, or Jay-Z, it's like, we never heard anything like this, to be honest, that was really good. And someone else was like, yeah, that was really good, and someone else was like, and then they're looking at him like, who are you, where are you from, who is this guy, right? The analogy isn't perfect, because actually they didn't ask who he was. Everybody knew who Muhammad was in his society in Mecca. He was well known. He had the best reputation possible. He was known for being honest, being trustworthy. But the things he was saying were so powerful, and the best poets, and he was not among the poets, was like, we never heard anything like this. Not like you're the best poet ever, or not like you're better than all the greatest. No, it's like, we never heard anything like this. Is this even poetry? What is this? But also what he was saying, not how he was saying it, what he was saying, directly threatened what they were saying, what they were doing, and how they earned their money, and how their political structure, he was threatening all of it. So it's a lot of mixed emotions. But anyways, eventually, it's like the audience, the focus is on him now, and the audience is like, what is this? We never heard that. And he says, those are not my words. They're like, okay. He's like, those are God's words. And it's like, bro, what are you doing? And it's a rap, but wait, what is it? It's God's words. And it's like, that makes sense. And others like, God's word, God will speak to a man about it. And they're doing that. Eventually, some time goes by, the audience puts into 2 groups. One group is like, it's true, these are God's words, he's a prophet, we gotta follow him. What he says is beautiful, I never heard anything like, yeah, he's good now, we know this. And the other group is like, let's kill him. That's what happened. Make sense? That was the Quran. Within a few words, people were like, nah, we can't follow that. He's a prophet, it's God's words. They knew it's God's words, they knew that it's powerful, they understood the message. It's a direct threat to them, socially, politically, economically, everything. Right, it's their bank accounts. Do you guys ever wonder why slavery lasted so long in America? Not necessarily that there's one reason, but those who were in power that could end it within a day, could have ended it within a day. We're still living post-slavery, slavery is still a thing, it just takes different forms. But the point is, chattel slavery, right, that type of slavery, historically in America, those who were in power to end it, are those who are benefiting from it financially. Make sense? Right, so those people who, everyone follows or no? That's what happened. That's one way to say it, there's many ways to say it. The linguistic miracle is that the Quran says, وإن كنتم في ريب مما نزلنا على عبدنا فأتوا بسورة مثله وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين. Allah directly challenges everyone in Arabia, and for all times and places, but primarily that first audience. It says, you don't believe it's from God? Okay, no problem. Bring a chapter like it. Let's do what? Let's battle. Let's rap. Let's do this. So rap battle. There's a mic, there's a stage, and let the audience decide. This is what the Quran says. I'm using an analogy. You don't think this is from God? Then bring a chapter like it. How the shortest surahs, the shortest chapters, again, 20 words, 30 words, it's not that hard to have a few lines. It's a poetry society. He's challenging them in what they're good at, what they're proud of. And the best poets at that time, and everyone knows who's the best, the blue check marks, the millions of followers, everyone knows those names. They were like, we never heard anything like this. This is crazy. Let's kill him. Or let's tell people he's a magician. Let's tell people he's insane. They're accepting what? Accepting defeat. They lost the battle. Therefore, the Quran is true. It is from God. I'll repeat it just in case. Quran is saying, you don't believe this is from God? Fine. Bring a chapter like it. Let's rap it. They admitted defeat. They're like, no, we can't. Let's kill him. If someone says, yo, let's debate, and you're like, no, I'm gonna beat you up. It's like, yo, I obviously won the debate. So it's a miracle. And there's a little more piece to it. I mean, you guys get the gist of it. The point is also that the Arabic language that they were super impressive at, that was the pinnacle of Arabic at that time. And the Arabic language, and everyone that's Arab, and even non-Arabs can probably see this, it's been on the decline ever since. So no one will ever be able to meet the challenge. Not only no one did at that time, they were the most able to meet it. Today we use like the word television. Who's Arab? Raise your hand if Arabic is your language. Like me, yeah? If you, okay. Television, how do we say it in Arabic? Television. Telephone. Telephone. What am I trying to say? What was the point here? Arabic language is on the decline. We're borrowing from other languages. You get it? It doesn't have that kind of strength as it did. Everyone that's Arab knows that our Arabic is not like how it was before. Like even 2 generations ago, let alone 5, let alone 10, let alone. Think of like Shakespearean English versus English today. You might read Shakespeare and understand some of it if it's in school, but you know you can't really speak at that level. Okay, so this is an analogy. I mean, the Quran is more powerful than that. But Quranic Arabic is essentially like its own language, and then every Arab country has its own dialect. Anyways, it's obviously far more powerful. So they were the most able to meet the challenge and they failed. But they were also, because their Arabic was the best, but they were also the most incentivized to. They wanted to meet that challenge more than no one today is going to want to, meet the challenge of the Quran as much as they did, because it was directly threatening them primarily, their economy, their power structure, and so on. The Prophet was saying, "I'm a prophet," so people are going to follow that. They're losing their followers. He's telling people there's only one God, not a bunch of gods. But like, they used to make up stories about gods and literally make them and then sell them. So you're saying there's only one God? Like, how are you going to sell God? You guys get it? That's a linguistic miracle of the Quran. Questions on that? Comments on that? The Quran is a miracle in many ways. We're also going to talk about its impact on history and then about justice and a little bit about Palestine, and we'll also have a Q&A where we can ask about other things. Tuesday, inshallah, we have a talk on Palestine and social justice, etc. specifically. But yeah, bismillah. Questions or comments?
Did nobody try to challenge?
How about it, ma'am? Ma'am,
I can
there's that microphone we can pass around, the handheld mic. Question on this part, and then impact, and then I'll sit there, and then I'll maybe a full-on Q&A on everything we said. But I want to make sure that you guys understand the linguistic miracle of the Quran, so you don't forget that at the end of them. Is that cool? Unless you guys prefer we do the Q&A at the end. It's up to you guys.
Up to you. Do you want to do it at the end?
It's up to you guys. What do you guys think? Anyone has right now pressing? Anyone has like, wait, the linguistic miracle, something's missing. The logic was there, the flow.
I have a question.
Yeah, it's not
So
good.
did nobody at the time attempt to challenge?
Well, they did.
Do we have any record?
During those in Mecca phase, and later on, and then I'm sure Sayyidina knows more about this than I do. And even afterwards, after he died, people were like, "I'm a prophet too." In Arabia, there's prophets. There's some battles between them. They claimed. It's a good question. They did, but here's the thing, right? It's an open stage and it's a mic and so on. So anyone's like, "I want to meet the challenges." They go up and say a few words, and all of them understand Arabic, and they all understand what he's saying. And they all, it was very clearly like, do you see anyone of them following that person? Like, Prophet won Arabia. Not because of the few battles he fought where like a few people died each. They didn't drop bombs on people. Arabia followed the Prophet within 23 years. Clearly that means the Quran was, they had nothing of that sort. More specifically, everyone knows Khalid ibn Walid, one of the most famous of the companions. He's not from the top companions, he converted towards the end. But among the most famous because he's a military general, amazing brave stories, etc. From the companions for sure. Khalid ibn Walid was young, maybe when Prophet was like 40s, 50s, so on. He's like 20s, 30s, 40s, so a younger generation. He's an up-and-coming military leader in Mecca, and eventually very successfully fights the Muslims. Eventually he fights for the Muslims. Right? You all know the story of Khalid ibn Walid. His father was actually the best poet of Mecca, or one of the best. And at some point when it was getting very intense, like people are following the Prophet, they're rejecting their leaders and their gods and so on. He stands up, and he's an elder, he's one of the elders, right? Khalid ibn Walid's father. Al-Walid ibn Mughira, who Allah criticizes directly in the Quran. Very few people in the Quran are ridiculed by Allah directly. Usually it's categories of people. If you disbelieve in God, not like people, right, directly. He said one time they're sitting, it's like Congress or like the Senate or like the House, They had no unified government, but the heads of every tribe kind of sat together and decided things sometimes. So he's sitting with them and he's like, once and for all, I'm going to end this. I'm going to go, I'm the best poet amongst you. And no one says, no, I am. They all stayed quiet. They accepted it. I'm the best poet amongst you. And Mecca, of course, is the capital of Arabia. So he's the best of the best in Arabic. Ta'if is like number 2. He said, I'm the best poet amongst you. I'm going to go listen to the Quran. I'm going to go listen, but it's for research purposes. I'm not actually enjoying it. He loves it. He enjoys it, of course. He said, I'm going to go listen to this Quran. I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you exactly what we're going to do. We're like, bet, we got this. The best. He got this. He's going to do this, man. He goes there, he listens. He comes back and he's like, what you mean, what's, families are being ripped from their perspective. He's ripping families apart because people are converting. I was in Nebraska for a year, and with all due respect, white people convert, and then the first day they're super excited. It's like maybe 50% or more. It's a very common trend. They come to me a few days later, and they were super, super excited, which I love. And then a few days later, they come to me, and I already know what they're going to say. Their face, you can tell your parents didn't accept them being Muslim, and some of you can tell me the story. I was born Muslim. It's got to be tough. We try our best to take care of them, but we can't really. It's your mom and dad. I can't really. But anyways, yeah. So from there, he's ripping our families apart, and we're Arabs, and how can he do this to us? So it's direct threat to them, politically, economically, socially. Anyways, he comes back. He's like, what do you mean? This is an internal threat. He's taking over. He's killing us. He's doing whatever. Not killing us, but he's like, well, it's I've met magicians. It's not magic. I'm like, okay, well, what is it? He's like, he's not insane. I mean, he clearly has this like, okay, well, he's like, and then Allah says in the Quran that He knows what's inside of his internal state, his heart and mind. It's like, you know what this is, and but you're gonna deny it. Technically, tangent, but it's also important for us to know, especially Muslims in America. Kufr or kafir, like literally and directly, what it explicitly means, is someone who knowingly rejects the truth. So 3/4 of the world are not all kuffar, depending on the context of the word. Yes, they're non-Muslim, right, or not yet Muslim. I think is a good perspective to have. But kafir is someone who knows the truth and rejects it for whatever reason, money, power, status. So this guy is definitely a kafir, right? He's saying, he's like, well, we're going to tell everyone it's magic. They're like, okay. So then what happens, people coming from all over Arabia for Hajj, their own Hajj, right, where they're worshiping idols and buying things from the Meccans, and they're like proud to be hosting everyone around the world, around the country. And when they come in, Prophet of course is going to take the opportunity to stand up and speak to them, and I'm the Prophet, Allah revealed to me this is the Quran, and he recites, and a lot of them know Arabic. When they hear it, they know it's true. But they will tell people, they'll try to go before him, and go, and like, he's our nephew, we know him, trust us. I know he's a little bit, Or it's magic, or close your ears, don't listen to him, it's magic. Even if you listen to a few words, you and your family will rip you. Look at our families, he's ripping our families apart. It's like, oh. But every once in a while, someone will like listen, and they'll hear a few words, and be like, it's the best thing I've ever heard. What is it? They go up to speak to him, they meet him. That's the story of the Quran. Make sense? Did I answer your question or no?
Yeah.
Should we move on to impact anything else on specifically the linguistic miracle of the Quran, the language and the words, how it's powerful? The Arabic language has 28 letters. The Quran didn't come with any extra letters. It didn't like break the rules of Arabic, but from the Arabic language it produced something that you can't do it. It's impossible, you can't meet that challenge. Similarly to the staff of Moses, similarly to Isa Islam's miracle. Excuse me, it's a linguistic miracle. Should we move on? The Quran is a miracle in many other ways as well, in terms of historically correcting some of the things in previous scriptures, but that's not the topic today. And then scientifically, and speaking about the details of the womb, how did Prophet or anyone else knows at the time? It's a miracle. Today specifically, I want to talk about the language, and I want to talk about the impact it had. Impact over the centuries. Everywhere the Quran went around the world, or the message of the Quran went, because it's not a human being, it doesn't move on its own, but the message and the lifestyle and the worldview and the belief system of the Quran everywhere it went around the world, it promoted, it raised up, it spread, elevated, inspired, whatever word you want to use, truth, justice, and unity. And what is that when you put that together? Truth, justice, unity? Peace. Created peace everywhere. Do we have peace in the world today? You guys have to think about it? Do we have peace in the world today? You know why? Because there's been 500 plus years of colonization and post-colonialism. 400 plus years of slavery and post-slavery. We have very little peace in the world today. Mention a continent that doesn't have wars and occupations and invasions and apartheid and a type of form of slavery, because there's different types, a form of colonization. Not a single continent, is there? Okay, I'm going to ignore that. We do not have peace in the world today, which is also, this is a tangent, but some of these tangents are, we've never been more technologically advanced in our history, fair? Every day we're more technologically advanced. But morality and technology are clearly not tied together, right? So we're very, very technologically advanced, but not morality. So a lot of people might think that's obvious and it makes sense and that's common sense and they would agree. If you think about a lot of our assumptions we make, a lot of our slogans, and a lot of our movements, and a lot of our politics today, it's basically implied that morality and technology are tied. Progressive, you're just using words, progressive, liberal, secular, humanitarian. The 21st century has occupations and invasions and tanks and bombs and planes and apartheid and Holocaust. And the 20th century had tanks and planes and bombs and occupations, apartheid and Holocaust. So there's a lot of lessons there. One of them is that basic humanity is basic humanity. The morals and principles, they don't really necessarily change. Technology developing, it's not necessarily tied to morality. I'm not saying we shouldn't develop technologically, but morality, two different things. Where do we get our morality from? We're advancing our technology, we'll be able to get together and come up with our own morality. No, not really. We need objective morality, and that's from Allah. Anyways, this is a tangent. We'll go back. Everywhere the Quran went, the message of the Quran went, it brought with it peace and justice. And you can't have peace until you have justice, and you can't have justice without truth. So primarily the Quran, words, ayahs, verses, miracles, it taught us to value the truth and taught us what is objectively true. The Quran and God, and what else would bring us objective truth? If everybody got together and decided this is true, they could be wrong, and the next generation could prove them wrong. If we decided that it's moral to do X, Y, Z, and another part of the world they decided it's moral to do, how would you break that tie? How would you settle the debate? Make sense? Objective truth, objective morality comes from the Quran, comes from God. And we should be happy about that. That shouldn't be something that upsets us. Oh, you guys are 1400 years ago, man, we got to come up with our own. Why? Why do you want to come up with it? The Creator says, I love you. I sent you prophets all throughout history, over 100,000 of them. Many of them you killed and tortured and abused, and every one of them you ridiculed, you insulted them. You as all of us, humanity, we did this to our prophets. I know Ben Israel is mentioned throughout the Quran for being bad to their prophets. You think that's because the Quran is anti-Semitic or Allah wants us to like hate you? You missed the whole point. It's because us, the biggest ummah ever, we better not follow the footsteps of nations before us. And we do that. How do we treat our leaders, our imams, our scholars? How do we treat our parents? How do we treat our teachers and so on? So Allah says, I love you as humanity. I chose you. I elevated, chose, made special, dignified human beings. You oppress each other and you kill each other and you steal from each other and you lie to each other. And I send you prophets because I want guidance for you. You can't figure it out all on your own. Even if you live 100 years, you're going to figure out everything. How are you going to figure out? How do you spend 100 years? Every telescope, every microscope, every lab, every experiment, every university, you're going to try to figure out what happened before the Big Bang? How's that? It's not possible. By definition, it's not about we can't, challenge accepted. No, you can't. Because by definition, and we spoke about this at Brandeis, about science and so on. By definition, the creator of the universe came before the Big Bang. The Big Bang is the beginning of the universe. The creator came before it. So you can't use science to decide whether or not there is or isn't a creator. Make sense? That's not even a question of science. Science has its scope. Science is beautiful. Science is also a blessing from Allah. So the Quran and Sunnah and the guidance from Allah is from Allah. Science and technology and all that, which we discover in the universe, it's God's universe. It's acquired knowledge. That's revealed knowledge. They're both from Allah in their origin. They're both blessings from Allah. But we don't recognize and love and appreciate those blessings. But the message of the Quran went everywhere. It brought with it peace and justice. Why? How? First and primarily because of objective truth and objective morality that God gave us. And then based on that, of course, people have to believe in it, live it, internalize it, and act upon it. But primarily, truth. You can't have peace without justice. You can't have justice without truth. You guys with me? Long day? You guys a little bit tired? So that's what the Quran provides. Tawheed, the belief that there's one creator, created the whole universe. It's the beginning of what our deen teaches us. The beginning of truth. He's the only creator, the only true God, absolute certainty. Everything essentially goes back to him. He teaches us what's moral and immoral. You care about social justice? Yes? You want to have a deeper understanding of race and the differences between different races and race conflict and race theory? You want to understand gender? The Quran and Sunnah is full of talks about all these topics, about nations and tribes and race. It tells us about men and women and the differences. Even that's not politically correct to say that there are differences, but the Quran says that there are differences. But if the creator of the universe created all of us and loves all of us, no ayah or hadith says that he loves men and hates women or vice versa, or men will go to heaven and women will go to hell or vice versa, or that one is inherently good and one is inherently evil or vice versa. Loves both of us. Tells us whether you're different. It's a beautiful thing. What's wrong with that? We're different. Why is different bad? You have a 3-hour exam, and you have a choice. You can take to your 3-hour exam, you can take with you a pencil and eraser, or 2 pencils or 2 erasers. Which would you take? You guys get it? Pencil and eraser, because they're different. 2 different functions. Why is that disgusting? Why is that evil? Why is that backwards? Why is that anti-progress? It's actually just logical. You should be ashamed of or hate the fact that we're men or that we're women or there are differences. Now, yes, women are oppressed all the time. In fact, the solution is not to act like there are no differences. It didn't solve the problem. It's just one side example or one tangent. The topic today is not about gender. I'm not the expert on men and women. Just one example of Allah speaks about objective truth and objective morality, and every time and place you have that challenge and that opportunity to take the principles of the Quran and Sunnah and try to apply them in your society, and you'll bring people closer and closer to peace and justice. Or you can, the further you rebel against Allah's teachings, the more you have hate and violence, fear and misguidance. He taught us about race, gender, class. He taught us about money. What does the Quran say? Money's evil? Do you guys agree? Again, I know these are a number of different tangents, but maybe something will click with somebody and someone else is interested in other topics. It's cool. I like doing this. Who, like me, grew up with, maybe not no one directly saying it, but kind of being implied from different halaqas and khutbahs and maybe their parents or so on that like money in our religion, like we should be ashamed of it, or it's like kind of like evil, or it's a cause of problems, or a righteous person is like more likely to be poor, or which is kind of true maybe. Or a righteous person is not really like running after money, like not really like interested in building up their wealth, and that's a sign that you don't really love God, or something similar. Raise your hand if you've grown up with some of these ideas. Can't be just me, right? Okay. I'm sure they're well-intentioned, that parent of yours or that imam or shaykh or scholar or whoever it is, the masjid, the person at your masjid who taught you this, Sunday school, whatever it is. I'm sure they have good intentions. And yes, the Quran and Sunnah tells us about curbing our desires, not being obsessed with it, not running after these things. They hurt us. And not being attached to life. You can die at any moment. Your money won't help you once you're dead. So correct. But also money is not evil. Who can give me a more balanced, more Islamic view on money? Also, we're in college now. Let's say they told us that in elementary school and Sunday school. Money, don't obsess with it. They're telling us don't obsess with the worldly life. Remember about the hereafter. Cool. But now at college, we need a more nuanced understanding of money. Help me out. What's a more Islamic view on money? Halal, haram?
So in Surah Jama'ah, Allah talks about not just like stop making money or fight.
Okay, I like this.
Make money, but also make sure you pray and then go back to
How about this? I like that. That's a good example. I gave a khutbah on that ayah, and it was about business and economics and entrepreneurship, and I did this a few months ago, and people came after me and they're like, a khutbah about money? You can't do that. I'm like, yes, you can. We need more of that. But look, how about this? How about the fact that Allah telling us to stop doing business because it's time for Jum'ah? Is kind of low-key saying you should be doing business when you're not praying, like the rest of the week. Like, were you sitting at home and watching Netflix and smoking weed? Do you think Allah wants that? Or are you up there building your wealth? Or studying, or both? So I feel that's not, that verse can be taken to say like business is like, is something, it goes against spirituality, it goes against righteousness, it's against your, you should be praying. But what if you actually take that and understand it as Allah's encouraging business? And He wants you to be successful in your business, but when it's prayer time, you need to pray because you need to balance it out. Make sense? Money and fame, it's about how you earn them and how you spend them. They're not good or evil in and of themselves. Fair? A little bit of a more nuanced view on this from an Islamic point of view. Allah didn't discourage us from going after building your wealth and being powerful and rich and famous and all that. He didn't discourage you from doing things that will lead you to more money, more fame, etc. But like the question is the intentions of why you're doing it, and then what do you do with it? Make sense? So race, class, economics, etc., gender, any of these topics that are heatedly debated in America today and will always be debated, know that the Quran has plenty to say on these topics. If you understand it well, we have solutions for our modern day problems. Give me some ayahs and hadiths on race. I know it isn't directly the topic, but I like these tangents. Give me an ayah or hadith on race that you think 2023 America could benefit from this, even though it was said 1400 years ago, on race specifically. Because I know you guys are sure you've heard these ayahs and hadiths, they're famous.
No, but there is no difference between the Arab and non-Arab and between the women and black men.
So there are things that are debated in 2023 that the Quran directly, not indirectly, not hinted at, directly answered already. So don't you think the world would be better off if we followed God's guidance? And He created people of every race and every ethnicity and every nationality and every tribe. So we get to know one another. That means what? It means intermarry, do business together, study from each other, learn about the differences in culture. That's powerful. We have pictures in like universities across America and high schools, pictures of someone, there's a white person, a black person, and we solve racism. Like, come on, bro. That's like, and saying no to racism or saying that racism is wrong. That's like level one. Of course racism is wrong. But Allah did it on purpose. He could have made everyone the same color. Could have been everyone brown. There's a benefit in it if you see it. He could have made everyone one gender or there's no genders. He didn't do that. Purposely made us different. It's powerful when you understand the difference. What's a corporate buzzword that people use all the time that talks about how people could come together and do more than what they could have done on their own? Or like two people working together can do more than maybe three people on their own. Starts with an S. Corporate buzzword. Corporate America, they use this word all the time. Starts with an S. It's like a positive word. Like, yeah, let's get together, let's do it. What is it? Starts with an S. Starts with an S. Starts with an S. Synergy. So we need more synergy between men and women. Is that fair? You guys agree? Yeah, our community can do better if we have less of the more synergy. Tawheed, or the truth. Social justice. The Quran talks about all these things, all the potential conflicts in society. What does it say? So also, I almost forgot. It doesn't just say no racism in the Quran, or race and people are all equal, which is true. And 1400 years ago, that's a big deal. But not only that, it also says, and when one group is oppressing another group based on race, what does the Quran say? Or when a group is oppressing another group based on anything, what do? You're a Muslim, and let's say you're not from those two groups. What do? You side with the oppressed over the oppressors. Yes or no? So Tawheed, social justice. And what that leads to, so truth and justice, then it leads to what? Stability and security in society. There are laws and there's order and there's truth. And God's laws, yes, people have to apply them, and they will apply imperfectly. Would you rather imperfect people applying perfect laws, or you want imperfect people applying imperfect laws that we create and change all the time? Think about it. So then what do you have? You have stability and security. So these are my notes. Tawheed and social justice. I have arrow, stability, security. Arrow, civilization. And innovations. Tell me some of the innovations that Muslims created around the world because and after they had stability and security. Arabia was warring tribes. Prophet united them, they'd never been united in their history. Imagine someone comes to America today, it'll never happen, it never can happen, but one person, there's 350 million Americans, one person comes, I don't know which race they would be, I don't know how tall and how rich and I don't know what they would have to do or say, whatever. Imagine someone came to America today that brought together people that are Democrat, Republican, white, black, rich and poor, young and old, the religious and non-religious. It's like almost impossible. But the Prophet did that in Arabia. He united them, and they've never been united in their history. America has a history, like when he started, the founding fathers got together, it was unity. Arabian Peninsula, the tribes have been fighting throughout their generations, and they all remember who fought who. Think of bringing the Bloods and Crips together. Now people have done that. We have Imam, some of our teachers and mentors, their teachers and mentors, have brought gangs together in different cities across America. And you know some of these names. But imagine that across the country. Imagine bringing Democrats and Republicans together. Like think of something like that. That's what Prophet did in Arabia. And then, peace and justice, what? Then you have universities and libraries and hospitals. You guys get it? Truth and justice. Then you have civilization and innovations. You have peace. Give me examples of innovations that Muslims came up with. Astrolabe. What else? Algebra. Your favorite subject in school, yeah? It's more than that. It's not only that, like, yo, the father of algebra and trigonometry, I had that in my notes, Al-Khwarizmi, who's Persian in his ethnicity, he's not Arab, but Muslim in his religion, right? Islam, within a few generations, was all over the world, at least multiple continents. Al-Khwarizmi it wasn't just the father of trigonometry and algebra so many 1,000+ years ago, and we still learn that in school, it's still relevant subjects. That's really huge and that's impressive, right? But not only that, what comes from algebra and trigonometry? Huh? Algorithms. And what is that? Why is that important to us? Let's say I took like way too many math classes, but I was doing engineering before I went to law school. But let's say someone's not into math at all, and they pick a field like politics or whatever. You don't really need much numbers. Why is every single person on the planet indebted to Al-Khwarizmi and basically the Islamic civilization, etc. because of algorithms? Why?
Because they type, they want a computer.
Because computers and phones and so on are built upon that system, algorithms. And by the algorithm, you guys get it right. In Spanish we have la and el is the, Arabic is el. There's hundreds and hundreds of words in Spanish that originally come from Arabic because of the Muslims going to Spain and Europe. But yeah, algebra and the algorithms, originally Arabic words, originally by a Muslim mathematician. What else? Other examples, beautiful. I had Al-Khwarizmi in my notes, I had astrolabe, I didn't have it in my notes, medicine, Ibn Sina, and then I had Ibn al-Haytham, Ibn Khaldun. We'll open up for a long Q&A inshallah. Ibn al-Haytham, who's heard the name? What's impressive about Ibn al-Haytham? Two things that are, he did a lot of things, two things that are super, each of them on their own is like, if a whole university did one of these two things, it's impressive. One guy, maybe he had a team, I don't know how it worked at that time, but it's super impressive. Two accomplishments that are very impressive.
Optics.
Why is that? Why does it matter? I don't wear glasses, maybe you wear glasses, I don't wear glasses.
Because of like how like the rays of light work and
Keep
everything.
it simple, you guys get so fancy. When I said algorithm and you guys took like, I didn't even hear like a whole sentence, just keep it simple. Yeah, optics, cameras. Something simple is okay. Cameras, and everyone, half the world have iPhones or have smartphones, right? We have optics, and the other thing he did was, I don't know what's more impressive, they're both super impressive, probably more impressive.
Scientific method.
The scientific method, or to be fair, maybe like a proto-scientific method. Scientific method, it's a process, right? It developed over time. People developed how to develop science, but he had a proto-scientific method. Maybe the first person to ever use a scientific method was Ibn Haytham. Okay, and then I have Ibn Khaldun, we'll get to in a second because that's not science technology. It's Ibn Khaldun is the father of Ibn Khaldun, sociology. He looked at cultures, he looked at tribes, he looked at power structures and governments. Like that's actually more than just one subject. That's like anthropology, sociology, some psychology in there, and political science. But today, in books in school, if they tell you the father of sociology or psychology, they usually go back to someone who's British or French. With all due respect, nothing wrong with that, but we have nothing against the British or the French. British or French, probably 400 or 500 years ago, but this is like what, like 1,000 years ago. So he came before them. So maybe those are the modern fathers of these subjects, but he founded those subjects, yeah. Okay, going back. So on the science one, so medicine, we said optics, algebra, technology, etc. It's not only that, I guess I follow the logic, right? So the truth, God brings the truth to the world and establishes justice, then you're gonna have peace in society, then you're gonna have, like, how are you gonna build a university? How are you gonna get together to build a university? Or how are you gonna spend years in the lab to develop something when there's wars happening? Get it? Bombs are falling. Anyone expecting innovation to come out of Gaza? Compared to like a college student at MIT? Because you need peace first. So it's truth, justice, peace, stability, then you have civilization and innovation. So that was like the logic. Okay, now the question, so that would be impressive in and of itself. The Prophet established a society that within a few generations, they established universities and libraries, the oldest in the world, and science and technology, but it gets even better. Ibn Haytham and them, they grew up in a schooling system, an education system that taught them Quran and Sunnah, and then they choose to specialize. They can pick the social sciences or the natural sciences, science, math, etc., astronomy, geology, physics, chemistry, etc., or you specialize in the Islamic sciences or Islamic studies. They grew up in studies, they all studied Quran and Sunnah growing up. That was their schooling system. And then you specialize in, if you want to become the physicist guy, and Ibn Haytham picked physics, but he knows at least the basics probably more than a lot of us about Quran and Sunnah. Fiqh, hadith, sirah. You guys get it? Schooling system where even better, it gets better than that. You know what? He writes in his journal that it was the Quran that directly, because we're saying basically indirectly, the Quran established a society that people were able to do these inventions. Even better, he directly says in his life, in his journal, in his journal, he says that the Quran encourages us to look into the interconnecting principles of nature. He's saying directly, for me, the Quran, when I'm reading these ayahs, encourages me to go into the science. He developed the scientific method. You guys get it? It's direct. There's a lot more to be said, but I think that's a good place to end, and we'll open up for Q&A inshallah. Is that good? Jazakallah khairan.